I would say because we are in the afternoon, or I would say we are in the evening. So good evening, everyone, and welcome to Garg Gurucool channel, and welcome Shivani on my channel. So
Thank you.
happy to see you. And I would say we started, I think, half an hour back, but due to all these technical glitches and everything, I was the one who is late. And just to make sure, just to highlight this one thing, that I have a lot of interviews, but generally I'm the first one who joins the bridge, the Zoom, and I wait for people. But I think Shivani is the one who joined before me. So that's the first
Not an
quality
issue.
everyone should learn. Okay, that you should be proactive, I think. Right? Okay,
Yeah, it does help.
correct. So what we are going to do today is we are going to discuss about a very I would say confusing topic. And generally I have previously also made a lot of topics videos on that how should we go in and attempt the SSB. And it would be a best thing to hear it from a person who has got recommended. And so Shivani has cleared her SSB interview from Varanasi. And so tell me, like Shivani, like just give a little bit introduction about yourself, and which attempt was yours and all that stuff. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So, hi, my name is Shivani. I was born and brought up in Mumbai,
Okay.
and then after my 10th, I switched to Delhi because of my dad's transfer.
Got it.
I've been here for 11th, 12th, and then engineering. I've done engineering from NSIT in the computer engineering branch. So I applied for Air Force in my last year, and that was my first attempt. And I chose Varanasi. I mean, I got Varanasi.
Okay.
So my joining date was 8th March 2021. So it's been quite a time now. It's
Got
like
it. Yeah.
a few months back. Yeah.
Got it. So joining date, why you mean like reporting date on the SSB?
Reporting, sorry.
You
Yes.
had on 8th of March.
Yes.
It was recently only. It's a peak COVID time, I would say, when the second wave.
Yeah,
came,
yes,
kind of
yes,
thing.
just before the second wave.
So it was your first attempt, and you got recommended like that, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so like let's go a little behind. So why did you want to join like Air Force, or like why you wanted to come into the forces?
So I would say that I have a defense background, sort of. So
Okay.
my grandfather, my mama, my uncle, so they're in Air Force, Army, or the Navy. So
Acha.
I've had a lot of people, even like two of my cousins, one joined the Air Force and one joined the Navy.
Okay.
So I've had the background. Plus, I think that is something that I always had in my mind when I was growing up, that, I want to be in this uniform. I was sort of inspired by my family members, and sort of I've seen how they've led their lives, and that was something that was really interesting. And I was always amazed by their lives. So I think that was one of the reasons. I also like doing adventurous stuff in general, hiking or like things like that. So that also is one of the reasons.
Got it. So let's assume I'm doing my graduation right now. So what would be the first step for me? I would be giving AFCAT, right? The AFCAT is the exam which you must have gave.
Yes, so I gave AFCAT, but you can also get through Indian Air Force through the CDS exam.
CDS exam.
That is a little more difficult, I would say, to crack. And AFCAT is just for Air Force, whereas CDS is for Army, Navy,
and all the three. Correct. And AFCAT, I think from CDS, girls cannot join Air Force. That's a permanent commission.
Yes.
Yeah. For girls, it would
commission.
be. Correct. So for CDS, through CDS, we can join permanent commission flying only. For AFCAT, it's permanent commission and short service commission, and it's for girls and boys both. So generally, if I think a lot of girls would be, watching aspirants, so you have to give AFCAT. That is the first written exam. That's the step one you have to prepare. Then second thing would be, after that results come and you clear that AFCAT, then you'll be going for the SSB.
Yes.
Now let's start. Okay, so how to clear the AFCAT and how we prepare or how we have a mindset for AFCAT, that's a different thing that should not be covered in this video because this is a focus on SSB. So now we are assuming that, okay, I have cleared the AFCAT written exam. So what you would tell me, like, okay, I have SSB in 4 to 5 months. So what should I do, start doing, or something like that?
So I think one of the things that helped me was to first identify what the 15 OLQs are, because that is
Okay.
something that they would be looking for in every candidate. So if you have the 15 officer-like qualities, then
Mhm.
you have chances of getting recommended. So firstly, I Googled what those 15 qualities are,
Okay.
and then sort of try to imbibe them um, in your normal life is something, because you can't change your personality in just 4 5 months. That's just not possible. You are but what you can do is sort of modify or sort of polish the areas that they are looking for. So that was one thing that I looked for. I also started being a little more physically active,
Okay.
started running or doing some workouts.
Correct.
That helped me. Yes, I think that was it. Just the qualities and being a little physically active, I would say.
Correct. So, for example, if you have, if someone has just cleared the written exam and if they have SSB in 4 to 5 months, something like that, then as Shivani said, right, we cannot change, you cannot totally change your personality. But what you can do is, as per the interview, you can align your personality. For example, if
Hmm.
you are going for an interview for a job, so there they will not ask you to jump from a 6 feet or something like there you don't need that kind of
Yes.
stamina. So that's how you align your personality towards that kind of interview. What is the demand from their side that you have to fulfill? And I believe that, I think out of 15, I think some of the qualities every person has. It's just that you have to showcase those and you have to start working on those and try to I would say bring it up basically, so that, okay, in this particular kind of interview they can see that, okay, you have it, those qualities, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go with very basics now. This is I think everyone is doing right now, but still people are not getting recommended there. Everyone is searching for the OLQs, everyone is doing some stamina thing and all that. But like, okay, so we came to know, okay, we have 14 to 15 OLQs and all that stuff. But if someone is very new to the SSB, so how did you came to know about the processes? Like, okay, this is the psychology, this is the this is GT, or this is the interview, or what they will ask you. So how did you came to know? I think like that, if you
I
can
think
describe.
that was mainly through YouTube. That was,
Okay.
I was also one of those who was, frantically seeing all of the videos, all of the SSB experiences, and trying to learn as much as I could from them. Apart from that, as I mentioned, I have two cousins who had already given the SSB and got recommended. So I sort of had a detailed conversation with them, as in
Okay.
how was their experience and what things actually helped them, sort of. So a little very minor things that could help. You could be like, let's say for the first day, the where you have the GD,
Mm-hmm.
the PPDT test. So what you can do is, what happens is, everybody is very focused on being on having their speech ready. So what they do is they don't often listen to what the other person is saying
Correct.
when everybody has a time to tell their story. So what you can do is proactively be listening to others' stories, because that's also something that the interview officers might be noticing about you.
Correct.
So like very minor things, but if you actually do them, might help. So
Correct. So
yes.
these are like very small things, I think, which uh, I would say not most, like not all, but most of the candidates miss out. They
Hmm.
in the PPDT, I have seen a lot of candidates focusing only on themselves. Okay, but it's not a, why the name is there, it's a group discussion, right? It's a discussion within a group. It's not extempore. Lecturate, it's fine, correct?
Makes
When we have
sense.
lecturate,
Yes.
it's your show. But when you're having a discussion, that means we are having a group discussion, means you have to listen to the group and then you have to. So this is one of the points I think every candidate should, you know uh, I would say, note it down basically, that there will be some tasks which will be team aligned in the SSB, and there will be some tasks which will be individual. you have to do it individually. For example, there are individual obstacles. For example, there is command task. So here you don't have to be, here you don't need to show the teamwork, because you are the one who is commanding that, or you are the one who is doing the things in the individual task. But there will be a lot of tasks where team effort would be required. Correct. So since, as
Yes.
Shivani gave an example of PPT, so what other examples we can think, Shivani, like where a teamwork would be required?
So I think, yeah, so I think if you want to join the forces, one of the key things that they're looking for is team spirit and how you lead the team. Also, it happens when you have the GTO day. So then there are some group planning exercises wherein you have to listen to everybody. And then there are two JDs as well. You also have um, I don't exactly remember, but group task obstacle or
Hmm,
some
hmm, hmm.
the thing that you do with the whole group and then
Correct.
with the half group. So these
Correct.
are so if you want to show that you are a team person, these are your moments to show that you are a team person, right? So
Hmm.
I know that everybody's thinking about themselves and they want to get recommended, and all of that is there. But
Correct.
these are the moments wherein you can show that you are a team person. And a
Correct.
lot of people sort of just think about themselves, and in the process they might get mean or might try to dominate the group, but all of
Correct.
that works against them is what I feel through my experience.
Correct. 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 So now let's come to the sources now. So one of the sources was your cousins, that you came to know about the SSB procedure and how to attempt and all that stuff. Second source was YouTube. To you randomly surf YouTube and you saw that, okay, these are the things which happens, or you have seen previous experiences like that. So
Mhm.
these were the only two sources for you. So what I'm asking is, the other sources, a lot of books are available in the market, and the other thing is coaching is available. So these two
No.
things you did not go for, correct?
No, for AFCAT I did have a book,
Yeah,
um,
yeah. For that is for the
Arihant.
written exam. Yeah, Arihant
Yeah,
exam.
yeah, but that's
Correct.
it. I didn't read any other book or went for coaching, so that was just my preference.
Correct. Okay. Now let's deep dive a little into the preparation phase. So uh, so you asked your cousins, okay, these are the procedures which happens at the SSB, and in the YouTube videos you came to know that, okay, these all things happen. Okay, then how did you start practicing, or what steps did you take? Like, okay, so now I have to start practicing for TAT, or what I have to do, I have to start seeing lecture
Yes.
topics, something like that.
Yes, so I did go. So for the psychology, I would say I did practice a lot of TAT, WATs. I did sort of. So I had a friend with me who was preparing for the same thing.
Okay.
So both of us used to be on a Google Meet, and then we would show a picture, and then both of us would start scribbling
Okay.
and then discuss
Correct.
our story. So that was one way as to, we sort of had an experience how to speak about your topic, about your
Okay.
story, but
Okay.
and also to like sort of write. So we did that. I think we did that for 3-4 days, but then that was it to sort of just get in the hang of it. So for the psychology tests, we did that. Um,
So in the
Interviews,
in the in the let's go section by section. So in the
yes.
psychology we have TAT also is there, is WAT is also there, and SRT is also there, and SD is also there, which is still self description. So TAT, okay, so you went on a call with a friend and then you both prepared like that. Then what about T8, WAT and SRT? It's the same thing. Like, okay, so the where we write sentences from the words and where we react to the situation. So it's the same thing. You both prepared together.
Yes, yes. So I think if you Google,
A lot of
you'll
practice
find
sets.
stuff. Yeah, you will find a lot of practice sets.
Correct.
So we used to just for SRTs and WATs, what we used to do is instead of just writing, we would quickly read the sentence and then prompt then and there. So
Okay.
as we were fast in responding as to what I would do or she would do.
Correct.
But for TATs, we used to
Because
do
there is
that.
a time game over there. That's one
Yes,
thing.
it's basically the timing, nothing else. Because everybody can write. good answers if you have the time, right? But you
If you have
can't
the
if
time,
you
right,
don't.
right. That's what the thing is. If you give you 1 day to write a sentence on a word,
Of course.
anyone can write a very good word, but it's just that 15 seconds what comes into your mind. That's what you have to train
Hmm.
for. Correct.
Yes.
So like how many pictures, I would say, because you know the doubts I get is, sir, I have to how many pictures I have to prepare for TAT? They want to ask a particular number of pictures they have to prepare, and I always tell them it's not a number of pictures you are practicing. It's about if you have got into that flow, if you have got into that, if you have got the basic idea of that. So, but still, I would like to know from you, like if a candidate is asking you that I have to prepare for TAT, so how many pictures approximately did you write stories by hand, and how many pictures you just saw? Like sometimes we see the picture and
Mm-hmm.
think of like that.
Yes.
Like, so how many
Hmm.
pictures did you write like that?
I think we did that 2 days. So I think I wrote about 20 pictures, like
Okay.
properly. I've written them 4 and
Stories,
a half
writing and all that. Okay.
Yeah.
And that too
So I've
within the
done that
time limit, I would say.
within the time limit or
Okay.
before the time limit, because I
Correct.
was very sure that I didn't want to leave anything because I didn't have time. So
Correct.
I was very particular that I wanted to do before time.
Okay.
So I did that. And there's also, I don't exactly remember, but there's an Instagram page also by
Okay.
some defense person. And
Okay.
he also keeps on posting TATs,
Pictures.
SRTs, and
Okay.
WATs. So
Okay.
you can, and then I think he has a daily, so you can daily see one picture and then think about it if you want to. So I think I did about 20 that I had them written. I did also refer to a book. I'm not sure which one, which had pictures.
Okay.
So then we went through the pictures. I think 2 3 days before my SSB, we sort of went through the whole book of
Okay.
TAT to just
Okay.
sort of get an idea. Because what happens is, you need to, like you said, you need to get into the zone of
Correct.
seeing a
Correct.
picture and then responding with
It's not a
something
normal
positive
thing.
or
It's
good.
not a normal thing. It's not a
Yes,
normal thing
it's
that
not.
you start eating. You are not eating for one week, and then you can start eating after 1 week, because that's a muscle memory, but that's not a
Hmm.
normal thing, seeing a picture and writing in a time frame. So a lot of I
Yes.
see a lot of videos telling the candidates that you don't need to practice the TAT itself. But I would say it would be blunder, because I'm not saying to copy the ideas, but the writing speed to get that flow, it's not a normal thing which we are doing over there. Correct. So
Yes,
at
even
least
the thinking process,
thinking process.
it
Correct.
needs to be developed. You don't have it. You can't just see a random picture and be like, okay, I'll write a positive story in 4 minutes. You need to be in the process. It's a muscle memory, basically, I
Correct.
would say.
Correct. So I would say approximately 20 pictures or 20 to 25 pictures is what went through your hand. You wrote all the
Hmm.
stories for that, and
Hmm.
approximately I would say 50 to 60 pictures, because you are saying a daily picture kind of thing. So 50 to 60 pictures,
Hmm.
you saw the picture and thought what I would write kind of thing. The basic
Yes.
idea you thought.
Yes, but I never saw others' responses or what was written in the book.
Great.
So
That's a good point.
I just saw my story, and then I thought, how could I, let's say I had something negative in my story, so I analyzed that and thought what could be changed. But I never went through other stories, because then that would sort of uh, corrupt corrupt to nahi, but sort of hinder
That
what I
will
want
that
to
will
do.
I think that if you're seeing the story of others, right, that idea will be there in your
Hmm.
subconscious mind. It will
So it will
sit.
get
It will
copied in
get
a way.
copied. Correct. Okay.
Plus,
So
SSB analyzers always, malab, they know what is written in the book, right? So they
correct.
sort of get it if you've done from a book, if you've memorized. So I didn't want to go for that.
Correct. Okay. So this is a very important point. Now for TAT, we have got two important points. One is you do have to practice pictures before going to TAT. You have to be in that flow. At least I would say um, writing at least 20 to 25 pictures, as she is mentioning. So that is minimum pictures you have to write with your hand, and then you have to start thinking, seeing the pictures, that you have to do it. And second thing is, don't read the stories of other students and other candidates,
Yes.
because in that time zone you have very limited time, and that story will only click if you have written somewhere, if you have read somewhere, and you will think, okay, instead of leaving it, let's write that only. Let's see. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
So now let's come to WAT. So in WAT, like I mean, as you said that, okay, so we went through a lot of words and all that stuff. So for WAT also, you did not read any sample sentences that has to be written like
No.
that. Okay. So what you wrote as it is, whatever came into your mind like that.
So initially I would say for WAT, I could not form positive
Sentences.
sentences
Okay.
because if you get words like jealousy,
Hmm.
it's not normal. I mean, I don't know if it is or if it's not, but I
Hmm.
couldn't come up with a positive sentence for jealousy in
Correct.
15 seconds. It
Correct.
was just not in my thing.
Hmm.
So I think me and my friend, we went through some pictures and we were terribly failing at it because we couldn't come up. But then what we did was, again, we gave it 2 minutes and came up with an alternate sentence that
Okay.
could be used. So somehow when I actually was writing my when I was actually writing my WATs, I sort of remembered the positive sentences that I thought after taking 2 minute ka break.
Okay.
So that sort of helped me in, and I think those are a little repetitive only. You always get jealousy, you always get some particular words.
Correct.
So I sort of had that in my mind before.
Okay. 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 So, so for WAT, you can do this thing. Like, for example, a lot of words would be there, and you know that, okay, attack might be there, blood might be a
Brave.
word, brave might be a word, soldier would be a word, kind of thing. A lot of
Yes.
words would be there. So these things, but still, I would say practice is necessary for that also. If you are getting,
Yes, it is.
correct, if you are getting if you are not practicing and if you are getting a word as country, I'm damn sure 70 to 80% candidates will write India is my country. I'm damn sure, because no, we are not habitual to write a sentence. We
True.
are not doing it daily. It's not a daily thing.
Yes.
Correct. Now, okay. So now let's come to SRT. Now, situation reaction test. So there also you did not read any examples, and you, like, how did you go for that?
For SRTs, I think I didn't do it with my friend. So one day before my psychology, so what happened was in my first day, we just got screened in, and the
Okay.
next day we had our psychology in the
Correct.
morning.
Okay.
So everybody in my dorm, we were like 10 girls, and everybody, there were girls who were like, if somebody banged their head on the bed, so they were like, "Oh, ab tu kya karegi?" So like making
Oh,
SRT
okay.
out of everything that
Correct.
was
Okay.
happening around us.
Okay.
So that sort of got me in the flow, I would say. And I did go through some SRTs,
Okay.
but I didn't actually have them written. But I had made sure that I did have the ability to write as fast as I could. I made sure to do that for all of my psychology tests. So I think in SRD also I completed all of them, and then I had 2 minutes left. So I
Okay.
was very fast with thinking and then writing SRTs. Whereas my friends, some could only finish 40 out of 60.
Okay.
So I think that is also something that was really important, and I sort of, it went easily for me, I would
Correct.
say.
Now on this count part, a lot of candidates have a doubt regarding this. Okay, so we preconceive, because I have seen lot of videos where they tell, okay, so if out of 60, if you are doing 40 to 45, that's a good attempt. But if a candidate thinks beforehand that 40 to 45 is a good attempt, then he will eventually stop over there. Why 40
Yes,
to 45 is a good attempt? I would say if you can attempt 55 to 60, attempt that, right? Why to go for 40 to
yes,
45? So it's a other learning, I would say, for SRT or WAT, I would say. So WAT also you complete whole of them, correct?
all.
Mostly all words. Okay.
Mostly, nahi, all.
All. Okay. So she is very sure of that she completed all the words. For the SRT also she completed all the words. So I would say don't have it in your mind कि इसको छोड़ देंगे तो it would be चलेगा.
Mhm.
Why to leave it? If you can attempt it, then why you can leave? Why you have to leave it? You don't know that, okay, next sentence which you're writing might be picked up by the psychologist and it is a good one for your
Yes, plus I
personality kind
think
of
Yes, plus I think one advice that my cousin had given me was in
thing.
WAT, what happens is, let's say there's a random word that has come and you
Hmm.
can't think about it, and
Hmm.
you just have 15 seconds and then the next word comes.
Hmm.
So what a lot of people do is they leave that question and then they move on to do the other questions, right? To do
Hmm.
the other words,
Hmm.
basically.
Hmm.
But what happens is for the psychologist who is reviewing your sheet, it feels as if this person couldn't do this word and then
Hmm.
so that sort of is gives a negative role on your part. So what my cousin had told me was, instead of leaving one and then finishing all, try to do it in the serial order and then leave whatever is left, so that it doesn't look that you didn't have the ability to think about the sport, but you just had less time.
Okay.
So I sort of, even if I also had 2-3 words left, but then I remembered what those words were, and
then
after finishing, I just wrote them back in.
Okay. Correct. So this is like, I mean, try to complete as much words as possible, I would say, because it's not there is no good attempt or bad attempt, but it should be like how many words you can write sentences for and how many situations you can go ahead. But what Shivani was mentioning was like when we are going, for example, through 60 SRTs. So if you are attempting from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you're not able to think about 8th one, so just have it, write it down, and then if you don't have time left, then leave the last 10 instead of leaving randomly 10 somewhere.
Yes.
Correct? That's what she's talking about. Okay. Now let's come to the self description. So you tell me, like, what is self description as per you, according to you, what they want to see, or why do we have self description, I would say?
It sort of is, I think the whole psychology or the SSB experience is to sort of know how much you know about yourself, how aware you are of yourself, which I think is what they check. So in self-description also, I read and heard it a lot of times that you can have it prepared because, there's nothing that you need to think of at the moment. But I still didn't have it prepared. So I think one day before my psychology, I think around 12, I was writing what would my mom, dad think about me? What does my teacher think about me? So in that also, I think what I could see on Google, I sort of had in mind was to just to sort of highlight your plus points, your main 2-3 points that are in the OLQs as well. So I think that was it. Nothing else.
Okay. So here I would say, like, for example, there are a lot of topics over here, like, okay, what you would like to improve within yourself. So what kind of answer did you write for that?
So for me, I wrote that I think I need to be more assertive because as an individual, I think I'm more of a team player and I'm, very adjusting with people, but you also need to be assertive, right? So I think that was, but of course, don't write negative points who are just negative points, right?
I'm lazy.
Yeah, so don't write.
I'm not able to wake up early in the morning.
Yeah, so
I don't like eating good food, something like that. I mean, you yourself telling that, okay, I am not capable, I'm not desirable, I'm not a desirable candidate.
Yes, but instead write those qualities which are also good qualities, which are in the 15 OLQs, but somehow you're not like a 10 on 10 on those qualities. Like for assertive, I might be a 6 on 10, and I might be a 10 on 10 on teamwork. Both of them are OLQs, but I would just say that, I'm not that assertive, and that is something that I need to work on.
Okay, so I'm going for SSB, for example, after 4 months. So how would I start preparing is I would first see 15 OLQs, what are the OLQs, and then I would try to at least have some background of the SSB procedure by watching some videos.
Definitely.
At least I would see videos like this, experiences of other candidates who got recommended, and then for the psychology, how we are going to start is for TAT, we are going to practice some stories, and also we are going to take some pictures daily and think about that, okay, what I would write if this picture comes or this kind of picture comes in the exam. That would be for TAT. For WAT also, as she said, a lot of words would be repeated. So you can yourself think of some words, what would you write if this word comes as an example. For SRT also, I would say few of the SRTs are kind of repeated. I would say like you are going in a jungle and or if you're going for a trip and your tire got punctured or something like that. So a lot of SRTs are also kind of repeated, and it's your response basically what you will write. So I think that also, I think you should prepare. I think if I'm
You
going,
should
so I will
prepare.
prepare
Yes.
before, and like, okay, if I'm this situation, what I will do, what will I do, like that kind of thing. And for SD, as she has said, I would say don't read. This is the worst part to do, reading self description of some other candidate who has
True.
described himself. Correct.
True.
Because this is the, I mean, if you are reading a word from other candidate, that's even okay. But I would say self description means you are describing yourself. That is at least you should know about yourself. So that's one thing. So in self description, a lot of candidates, I get doubt is what your teacher or what your parents think about yourself. So this is what we have to write in this, like what they think about yourself or what you think that they think about yourself. What did you thought of like that? What did you write over there?
I think with the way I interact with my mom, dad, or teachers, I sort of know what they think about me.
Correct.
I mean, they sort of give comments, or in our daily conversation, you sort of know what the other person thinks about you. So I wrote what I'm not sure. I think I wrote what I thought they think about me.
Correct. Generally, we write that thing, that what we think that
Yes.
they are thinking about us.
But I also had a conversation with my parents earlier, as in
Okay.
what they think about me, to know what they actually think about me,
Correct.
to sort of have it more personalized and to sort of get an idea of what they think about me. So I wrote those points, basically what they. Yeah.
Check it. So psychology was done for you on the next day morning, that day itself?
Next day morning, 7 a.m.
Okay. So before psychology, you must have went through that PPT and screening test, right? So
Yes.
in that screening test, for that OLQ, sorry, not OLQ, that
OIR.
OIR, what aptitude test. So how was that for you? Or did you prepare anything for especially for that, or like was it good?
It was good. It was easy. I would. Logical reasoning is something that I'm confident about myself in.
Correct.
So OIR was not an issue for me. For PPDT, I think we had an image that there was this old lady and she was opening the door and she was sort of sad or tired.
Okay.
Most of them thought that it was a man. I thought it was a woman because it wasn't clear, but that was the image we had.
Okay.
So I think OIR was not an issue for
So
me.
you did not like specifically prepare anything for OIR, I would say, that aptitude test which we have. And for PPDT, it's similar kind of TAT only. So
TAT,
you know
yes.
that kind of picture, what you would be getting and all that stuff.
Yes.
One more thing is, when we have this PPDT, a lot of candidates ask me, should I raise my hand and tell, okay, I want to nominate myself to give the summary? I would be asking a lot of dumb questions to you, but still these are not dumb questions. These are real candidates questions, because it's a thing when a person is going for the SSB for the first time, and I tell them that ask a lot of questions. It's not a matter of this thing. It's good to be dumb before and not to get the result, right? It makes sense, right? So did you or so anyone from you did like this? Okay, so I want to nominate like that.
Yeah, in my group, what happened was, so in PPDT, so it's like a fish market. Because
correct.
Everybody knows that it's a do or die situation. If you don't speak, you won't get through.
Correct.
So everybody is in such a haste to speak or give their points or contribute. So I think in my whole group, I was the only person who was having eye contact with each speaker while the speaker was speaking, and I think that sort of helped me in getting screened in. So that was one of the points, and I think yes, I did have 2-3 girls who were like, I want to give the summary, and they just started. So like after the last person speaks, it was a fierce battle, to just sort of have your point said.
Correct.
So there were a few who were dominating. Some got through, some did not get through.
Okay.
I'm not sure how. I think it would be best, because I'm a team player, so I didn't nominate myself.
Correct.
It was a clear funda for me. If you think you can assimilate all of the people's points and then speak, it would be great. But if you just want to reiterate what you've already said, I
Hmm.
think then you shouldn't go for, the summary thing.
Correct.
Because they sort of don't want people who are just about themselves, right? So if you want to speak, if you want to be the first person to speak, that's fine. But just make sure that you are saying, as just number this said, I want to add on to that, like, so that it shows that you've listened and you want to contribute to what other people had their views on.
Correct. And I would like to reiterate one thing. I'm not going into those details that how you should sit in PPT and how you should write, how you should speak, because I think these are very basic things. You know that you are in an interview. You can't sit leg ke upar leg and all that stuff. So your
And
back should be
even though,
straight. Yeah, I mean these are
yes,
normal
even
things
though
everyone should know. Yeah.
these were normal things, I think only two of the participants or two of the people, two of the students there were actually doing it, but there were people who were still slouching or,
Correct.
were not alert enough. So these are very basic things.
Very basic things. Correct.
But because you have so much going on in your mind, you sort of miss out on the basic few things that you must be doing.
But that's what alertness is needed, right? In the forces,
Yes,
that kind of
you have
alertness
to
is
be
needed.
alert.
You have to be alert, right? So for PPT, so psychology we have discussed. Now for PPT and OIR, as she said, for OIR she did not prepare much of her content, and I would say, as in general, also you should see yourself in that if you are I would say if you are able to solve some few questions from a book, something like that, then you don't have to prepare it specifically, because questions are kind of, I would say, very simple only. For
AFCAT
PPDT,
level.
AFCAT level only, correct. And for PPDT, as she said, TAT preparation she was doing, so that I think helped her form story for PPDT also. And uh, in the discussion part, as she said, alertness is one of the important things. And I would like to reiterate one point which she did not highlight, but she said it. She was the only one to see in each and every one, candidate's eye, so that when someone is speaking, and if you're watching into their eyes, he assumes, this is our human tendency, we assume that okay, I am telling the story to this person. Okay,
Yes.
so you think, okay, every candidate now who is watching this video should think that every candidate in that group thinks that Shivani is the only person I have told my story to. Correct? So this is a very small thing, but makes sense. Correct? Now what a lot of candidates, what they do is, story is going on, they are seeing something else, or a swing upper and revising their story, what I will say, no, you are in a group discussion, listen to each other's story, and it's fine if you fumble one or two twice like that. It's you don't have to do a rectification and tell your story like that. Correct? That's not important. It's the important part is, what are your basic points of your story, that clarity you should have. That is the only thing. That is what you have to tell the assessors. This is what my thinking
True.
is. Shivani can correct me. Other thing is, you have, after that story is done, you have to do a discussion within the group, and to have the discussion you should know what other person has told. If you don't know what other person has told, then in your mind you just have one perception what you have written. Now,
True.
as she said, she saw that there is a old lady, other person has seen that there is a man. Now if she's not listening to other person's story, in her mind she has assumed that it is a lady, and she'll be speaking about lady only, like that only. Correct?
Yes.
Anything which I did not mention correctly, Shivani? I mean, you can point out anything which we missed in PPDT, which
One more
kinda
thing that
should.
you can do, one more advice sorts that you can
Hmm.
do is, if you can see that there are like two, three people who are being very dominating, and let's say that one
Hmm.
person wants to speak but isn't able to speak because everybody's speaking and all of
Hmm.
that. So
Hmm.
what you can do is you can say that, chess number 18 has a point and we haven't got to that. So that sort of, all of my points were points that were adding to show that I am a team person.
A
I
team
mean, that
person.
was how my behavior was through my PPDT session. So I would say that make sure that, these are very small points, but for the assessors, it makes a big difference while screening in, because then they see that, this person is listening or is a team player again.
Correct.
So
Correct.
again, I think that.
And when you'll be sitting yourself as an assessor, and if you have a recording of that PPT, and you'll see what you were doing at that time, shouting and all that, doing all that stuff, so you will also not select yourself. Correct. At least you should be in a way that if I am watching my recording, then I should select myself. That should be the criteria, right? At least you should select yourself. Second person to baat ki baat hai, correct? At least you should be selecting yourself. Okay, so a lot of talking about PPT and TAT and psychology test, but I would like to ask, and remember one thing, I have not asked any of the stories she has written, because I don't want to. That's the main thing. Okay, you have to think about the stories yourself. We don't steal the idea from this person and write it in your way. It's not the point. But I would like to ask one word which, जिसमें हिंदी में बोलते हैं ना, बहुत मशक्कत करनी पड़ी हो आपको सेंटेंस लिखने के लिए. एनी वर्ड यू कैन थिंक दैट ओके, दिस वर्ड आई कैन नॉट राइट सेंटेंस, व्हाटएवर, इट्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट फॉर मी. व्हिच
वर्ड में नहीं हुआ था, टीएटी में हुआ था.
ओके,
टीएटी में हुआ
सो
था.
व्हाट काइंड ऑफ पिक्चर वाज दैट?
So there was a picture जहाँ पे there were two ladies.
Okay.
Two ladies around, so let's say the younger lady was about 18, 20 years old, and the other one was 30-ish. I think the younger one was a boy, so he had a weapon.
Okay.
The sort of weapon that you have on your shoulder and then you fire.
Got it. Rocket launcher kind of thing.
And it was in the forest, and they were not wearing uniform, so you couldn't write ki this is an NCC camp, or this is so it sort of showed that kuch terrorist related ho raha hai.
You can write about Naxalite, I think. Naxalite you can write.
So something like that was coming in my mind, but nothing positive was coming, and that was the first picture that we had for TAT.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, oh my god. So then what happened was, so the first instinct that I had, so I think all of my TAT stories were related to my life somehow. Correct. In a way.
Okay.
Or something that I've experienced. So when I had this was one picture that I could not, I took 1 minute, I was just thinking. But then the story that I ended up writing was, so I was in drama all my life, I mean in college. So then I wrote that this story is to spread awareness, ki aise the youth gets misguided, and this is for 15th August or something, some theatre festival, and they've shown this. So this was one moment that I think drama sort of helped me, because drama is something that came into my mind, but I couldn't think of anything positive, and that was the first picture that we had. Correct. And the other lady was sort of shouting at him or giving him instructions, something like that.
Okay, so that is the only thing which you remember for psychology in which you got stuck, I think. Apart from that, yes. TAT, WAT and SRT all went fine, correct?
We were fine.
Oh, fine. Okay, now let's come to the other thing, which is individual, because psychology is individual task. Other thing which is individual part of SSB is one-to-one interview. So how was overall, as per your experience, how was your interview?
It went very good, actually. So what happened was, I was the last person in that day to get interviewed, and I think we had a psychology at 7, and then we were free by 9:30. I was waiting for my interview to happen from 10, and I got it at 3:30. I hadn't had lunch. I sort of did have lunch, yes I did, but my interview was scheduled at 3:30, and from 10 you think that the next person is going to be you, the next person is going to be, they don't tell you the sequence as in who's going to go next.
Correct.
So you sort of are revising all the GK things that you can revise, or sort of prepare yourself. So my interview happened at 3:30. I had a very good interaction with my assessor. I think I also made him laugh once. I don't know, something funny happened.
Correct.
But I was honest throughout the time. And I was very alert. So like if he was giving me if he was giving me a direction that, he wants the interview to go in this direction particularly, I would follow his lead and do that. Um, I think you just need to be alert when you are in your one-on-one interview. It was a very candid experience. He did grill me in between, but I sort of stuck to what I wanted to say.
Okay.
He was asking my opinion about something, so that was it. It was, I mean, I felt good after my interview, so I was
You were basically
confident.
satisfied kind of thing, so it went well like that,
Yes,
like
I
that thing.
was. Yes.
So what specifically did you prepare for your interview kind of thing? Anything specific you prepared?
Yes, so I just did one thing. So before my psychology exam as well, because I had both on the same day. So
Okay.
once I got screened in the night, I made sure that I, took before sleeping, I went through my whole life
Okay.
in like a flashback sort of a way to sort of remember all the good things that have happened
Okay.
or
Okay.
the things that I'm grateful for. Because what happens in psychology is they basically see what you think, right? So you sort of, if you have all of your good memories, if you know all the incidents and sort of recall them, you sort of put them when you write your psychology tests or the interview. So I sort of went through my whole life in a flashback, and I think that I mentioned most of the points that I sort of had it in my mind what points I wanted to speak on.
Okay.
So,
Okay. So nothing specific to the interview you prepared, like. So
GK I prepared,
okay.
but apart from that,
So okay, I was coming to that. So for GK, how do you rate yourself in general? Like, you are good with GK, or like you are not good with GK? So okay,
no,
that's
not
a good
good.
point for me, because I will come to know that how did you prepare for GK? So how did you start preparing for GK?
So for GK, I think once I cleared my AFCAT, I
Okay.
was pretty sure to then spend time on GK for the next 4-5 months until
Correct.
my SSB, because that was something that I had to do. I didn't have an option.
Correct.
So I used to read newspapers, or I mean, basically know what's happening. 5 national news, 5 international news
Okay.
in depth is a
Okay.
must before you
Okay.
go for your interview. So I think I did that.
Okay.
And I think at that point of time, we had that farmers' protest going on in
Okay.
India.
Correct. Yes.
So to exactly know what bills have been passed, what do they say individually, what are the updates? I think for GK, that was what I did. 5 national, 5 international in
Okay.
depth.
Okay.
And if any sports event is happening, so sort of have an idea. But I also told him I also told him that I don't keep myself updated as much. Uh, but when he asked me GK questions, I was able to answer them. So that was it.
Okay, so in this GK part, there is also a part, I would say, about the Air Force. I would say, like, for example, you're going for AFSB.
Yes.
So
Hmm.
did you specifically? I mean, you have a background of defense, so little bit knowledge we generally get. Whoever has a background of defense, they know, okay, at least that this is the thing, this is the thing. But still, did you prepare anything specific for that?
Yes, I did. So to have, I think you can find it on Google, or there was this one book mentioned. In one book, there's everything. They have psychology examples. Uh,
Okay.
they have
It's a
GK knowledge as well.
this one SSB crack book, or like white Commander Natarajan's book, white color, like that, something like that.
I
You don't
don't
remember the
remember.
book name?
I
Okay.
just had the PDF and I just went through the GK stuff.
Okay.
And one day before my interview, the whole dorm was preparing for uh,
Like that.
GK related to Air Force. So we
Okay.
sort of were asking each other questions. So I
Okay.
think I went through the book, of course, and we also sort of asked each other questions. So I was definitely fully prepped with everything that he would ask me.
Correct.
So I didn't,
Correct.
because that is what shows how motivated you are to join the defense forces, right? If
Mm.
you say that I want to join, but if you don't prepare, if you don't do the basic things that are required to join, then that shows that the person isn't motivated enough for the assessor. So
Correct.
I was
Correct.
pretty sure to.
That's a very good point. Now I'll tell you example of a candidate, and I will not name him, but this is what he did in his interview. in his interview and GTO, he told me it's my childhood dream to become a fighter pilot in the IAF. That's what he told. And then everywhere in with his friends also, he told that I wanted to become a fighter pilot from my childhood. So sometimes what happens is you don't know, but they will ask other candidates that what do you think of this chess number who is living with you. Sometimes they ask, this is what happens. So he has shown everywhere that he wanted to be a fighter pilot. Now the first question and the only question the IO asked him is, what is the training aircraft used in the Air Force? And he was not able to answer that. Now you see the contradiction. From the childhood, you want to become a fighter pilot and you don't know what is the training aircraft used. So it shows that this is a fabricated answer. Correct.
Yes.
And you see, I don't have any experience and I am able to find out this thing. Correct. They have a lot of experiences. यार वो तुम लोगों के बाप हैं इस चीज में. They are doing this. It's their daily job to see that okay, this candidate has this, left marna hai, right marna hai. It's their job. Correct. So don't try to fool them, right? If it's not your dream, don't tell them. Yeah, I just tell them truth. After my graduation, I was confused what to do. I thought I came to know about Air Force, and if you don't have any background, so just say I came to know about Air Force. I thought it's a very adventurous life, and then you tell the truth. Okay, I like adventurous life, and thought of I can prepare for that. I prepared for it, and I went for it. Why to tell a fake story that from my childhood I have to be a fighter pilot, and then you are not able to answer that what is the training aircraft? Correct.
True.
So that's what Shivani is saying. She first thing she said is she was very honest in her interview. That is first thing. Second thing is, I would say, and this is a very important point, this not all the candidates do. I would say, revise your life. You have to revise your life, what you did. If for example, if the SR asks you how was your percentage in 10th class, like that, it's a very general question and we don't remember because that's not a question, that's not a thing which is of daily use. So we don't remember. A lot of times we don't remember. And or what all subjects were there, or what was your favorite subject, kind of thing, or what was your favorite teacher. These kind of questions are asked, and at that moment you don't have time to think about your favorite teacher. At least you should be having in your mind before that, okay, this is what I did in my life, this is what I was good at, and this is the reason I am joining the forces. So this is what she said.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
And third thing would be candidates take GK very lightly. Lot of interviews, they don't ask, and it's their luck. Okay, they did not ask you current affair questions, but you cannot take that chance. You are taking the chance with your selection. Then if you want to take your chance with your selection, then it's fine. But I would say, as she was prepared totally all round 360 degrees, she was prepared for an interview with her personal life, with her current affairs, with the Air Force knowledge, with everything what could have been asked. She was prepared. One more thing I noticed is when we started this interview, she told me that she is a team player. Correct. And she has been telling this, that she is a team player, she is a team player, and she's not even telling this. From her actions also, even I can find out that she is a team player, because a lot of instances she has given that they were discussing something in the dorm and you interacting with them, and then it brushed your things. Correct. You were discussing things, and that's how. So in the dorm you are sitting like, okay, you are the only champ, and then in the interview you are telling I am a team player. Correct.
Yes.
That doesn't work. They will kick you out. They will know that, okay, you are telling us that you are a team player, but no one likes you. No, you don't know how to interact. So if you are a team player, tell them. If you are a team player, or I am working, just tell, okay, this is my weakness. I'm kind of introvert. But I'm working on my skills, and it's not like working. So tell them what you are doing. Okay. So for example, I'm trying to be, just tell like what steps you are following to do that. Now, one more candidate I would get of contradiction, because this is related to interview. One candidate told, I'm really into fitness. Okay, my hobby is fitness. And then he asked him, okay, how much rounds or what what exercise do you do in the morning? So he said, I go for running. And then he just asked me, okay, how much kilometers do you run? So he was little complex, he was confused. And then he said, okay, I run for, he said 1 kilometer would be less. I should say 5 kilometers. So he said, okay,
Hmm.
I run for 5 kilometers. Okay. Then he said, so he's not a fool, right? SSR is not a fool. He'll
True.
find out. So he asked him, okay, so 5 kilometers, in how much time did you
How
do
much
you do you
time?
complete? So he said, okay, so
Yes.
20 minutes to bahut zyada ho jayega. I should say 10 minutes. Okay,
To
so
10
he
minutes.
10 minutes. So he said 10 minutes I can do 5 kilometers. So he said, oh, you should definitely join Air Force. And that's what his exact words, what SSR said. You should definitely join Air Force because you have already broken the world record.
Why?
now,
Exactly.
now you are telling you're fitness enthusiast and all that stuff, but you're not doing it. So why to fabricate those things? Because this exam is of this interview is to show the real self, correct? And even if you're working on your skills, show them that I'm working, I'm little overweight, but I'm working on it, I'm eating right. And you can also tell them, okay, I love sweets, but I'm giving those up slowly, I'm doing these things. I think that would increase your chances of selection instead of fabricating these things, because you tell one lie and all that is gone. Your all mehnat
Because he will
from,
dig in.
he will dig in, he
Yes.
knows where to dig in, correct? Now,
True.
for example, I started talking to Shivani, and the way she is speaking now, she tells me that she has represented India in some debate competition. I will not doubt it. I'll not dig in. I'll not dig in. I'm, for example, the way you are
Hmm.
speaking, just for example. But if you are not able to speak properly, and then you give in my extracurricular activities, I'm doing all this, all that stuff.
Yes.
So he will
Hmm.
definitely dig in. So that's what is meant by being yourself, as a lot of people tell you, like be yourself in the SSB. That's what is meant by that. Don't fabricate things. So a lot of examples, and uh, the candidates come to know after giving this SSB. After giving the SSB, all these points they come to know. So the main agenda of making this video is that beforehand you should know, and you should not repeat these mistakes which other candidates are doing.
Yes.
Correct. So now let's come to the GTO part, which is on ground thing. Correct. So now on the on
Yes.
ground thing, let's come to the first, as you have already mentioned that you started working on stamina and all that stuff. So
Hmm.
as in general in school and college, you were a active kid. You were a active kind of like into sports kind of thing.
I was until my 10th, but then 11th, 12th, I stopped everything because of JEE mains.
Correct.
So I sort of left that. But in college, I was very active in my drama. So all of my
Okay.
time from 10 to 10, I used to do things in drama. So I didn't have time to do anything apart from it.
Okay.
So I can say that I wasn't very active in sports or things like that. But I think since the lockdown started, because then I again had time for
Hmm.
myself to do things that I
Hmm.
wanted to. So
Hmm.
then that is the time when I started again. I now run, but initially I used to do home workouts or
Hmm.
whatever small things that I could, you know, initially build my stamina.
So before giving the AFCAT itself, you were in this stamina building thing, I would say,
Yeah,
exercising
I
in
was,
general.
yes. Hmm.
Correct. Correct. So it's not like that, okay, I'm waiting for my result and I don't know if I will go for SSB or not, and then I'm starting to run. It's not like that. You have to be fit beforehand. Okay. So because this is a thing which you cannot do in a month. Okay. So you can ratify that, okay, what is first president of India and all that stuff. But this is a thing which will take time. It's a slow thing. So you should be fit as in general. So that's what I
Hmm.
mean. Home workout, it's what you said, right? That's what you started, and
Yes.
that's what helped you. Okay. Now let's come to the um, and a lot of I would say the maximum questions are regarding the military planning exercise in the GTO, which is that GPE. You get a map, you get a situation, and you are a team of these number of people, and then you have to solve all those 3 to 4 situations. So first thing is, how did you prepare for that? And then in your SSB, anything you anything you remember, what was your experience about that, like particularly?
So for me, what happened was I could not find a lot of YouTube videos that had GPE uh, instructions or how to do it, right?
Correct.
So when I went, I had no clue. I mean, I knew what the process would be like,
Okay.
but I had never practiced or like seen a question that had resources and then how would you allocate them.
Okay.
So I think, but I made friends there, right? So they were the
Correct.
ones who had sort of had coaching or had experience.
Okay.
So they then sort of guided me one night before कि अच्छा ठीक है ऐसे आता है, this is what you need to do, this
Okay.
is what happens.
Okay.
And then we were discussing अच्छा okay, this is what needs to be done. So when I actually had to do it, that was the first time that I was doing it.
Okay.
But it was, I wouldn't say that it was, very new. It was, how would you logically think to allocate your resources? Um, I did not practice for it, but I think it wasn't that hard as well.
Okay.
Of course, it's better if you have knowledge about it before. I didn't, but I think I did okay in there.
Okay, so you did not practice it beforehand, but one night before you came to know, okay, this is how we can attempt, kind of thing. But still,
how to attempt and what sort of questions can
what side of questions? But still, I mean, that is a quite a difficult thing to. Not everyone knows how to allocate the resources and how to do these things and all that stuff. A lot of people don't know which situation has to be given priority one, as in general. So
So
all
I think,
these things, yeah.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, so I think priority wise, there are always four questions there are four problems that are happening. One is life threatening for one person.
Correct.
One is for the whole community, there's fire or some sort of thing happening
Correct.
for a whole village or 10 people in general.
Group of people, correct.
Yes. So one is individual, one is group, one is some random robbery is going to happen.
Correct.
A smaller crime in terms of that, and one is कि एक farmer की बकरी खो गई है and you want to find where the bakri is.
Correct.
So these are, that is sort of how important each section of the groups are. So
Correct.
I think I was told by my cousin that, and I think that it's common sense only, that first priority should be to save that one person whose life is in danger. Then go for the community that you're trying to save. The third is to go for the smaller crime, and then the fourth is to, if you have time, of course, do all four of the questions. Don't be like, I don't want to find the goat. Of course, you have to find the goat, so find time, but that's of course the last priority. In your checklist to do. Yes.
Correct. So these priorities are fine. Now the second step is, how do you execute the plan? So since you did not practice it or you did not write it, so how did you, I just want to know your thinking process. So how did you thought, okay, so 2 people will go over there and we'll give first aid or something like that? So what did you
So
write?
I think, can I also share my question?
Yeah, sure, you can.
So I think we were a batch of 10 girls. So we were given that you 10 are there.
Correct.
You want to go from place A to place B. Place B mein there's a cleanliness drive going on, and that is where your college wants you to be. Beach mein you stop at a dhaba. Dhaba mein you hear that so the dhaba wala person is very old and he wants to donate some clothes. He's not able to because he's very sick. So he wants you to donate his clothes. So this is priority number 3 wala question. That you would be doing. Correct. And you also hear a truck driver say that there's a bomb planted near some mandir. And that there's some puja that is going to be done. So a lot of people might die if the bomb blasts. And there is and then 2 villagers come running to you saying that there's fire started in the village and they want you to help them. And I don't remember what the fourth problem was. So I think we were 10 girls, and we also had that there's an army cantonment nearby. That was given in the map. So
this information was provided. That's what she meant.
Provided.
Yeah. Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
So I think what I did was I also knew that the dhaba ke paas there was a parking area. So I knew that there would be other vehicles as well, which was not mentioned in the question
Correct.
for now.
Okay.
And we also were told that there's a dam reservoir somewhere for the fire.
Okay.
That was given in the map already in the question.
Okay.
So then, like I mentioned, my first priority was to defuse the bomb that was going on. And so one thing that happened was a lot of my friends, they told that, we would go and defuse the bomb.
Not,
But I think
that's what, right? I mean, in real life, can you do it? Just ask them. In real life, will you, if you tell them, okay, there's a bomb in the mandir, go and defuse them. So that's
yeah,
what you have to be real, right? And be
you need to
yourself.
be real
Be
also,
in
right?
real also,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
So, so I would tell you, so my allocation was that two people would go to the army cantonment area, inform them, and go with them to the mandir to sort of have people evacuated. So you would need two people for that thing.
That's good.
Apart from that, four people could go for the fire to extinguish the forest fire, whatever is going on, and evacuate people from there. One, I think these, and you also have very few time left. You have like 1 घंटे में सब कुछ करना है, yeah, you have 1.5 hours to do everything that's going on. So you also need to be very smart that where are you going to meet. So let's say the dhaba was in the middle of the map. So you can't be like, ठीक है, 4 people go here, there, then come back to dhaba and then we'll go back, because you also have to calculate कि तुम बस में जा रहे हो और अगर कच्चा रोड है तो how long will it take you to actually be there for the cleanliness drive as well. So I think one thing that I did was to make sure that the meeting point was somewhere which was smart for people to meet in, so that it didn't take much time traveling.
Okay.
And of course, I mean, there are other answers. You can have different answers. Different people can give you different answers. But there's no sahi answer hai, yeah, there's a wrong answer as well. So we had that going. I think one of my friends mentioned some point that I had forgotten to, that we could use the parking lot wale vehicles to sort of evacuate people. Yeah, move faster. I was planning that you could run and then reach there.
Correct.
To go to the village, but then she mentioned in the GD that you could take cars from there as well. So I think a lot of smart points came in from other people as well, which sort of, which of course, then you again need to add points to their points and then give the answer. So that was it. I think it went good.
So like, did you summarize also, or someone from your group?
I didn't summarize.
Someone from
my
your
group was very competitive. We had 2-3 very dominating girls. So I think. So I didn't have the opportunity to summarize it, but somebody else did. But she sort of missed out on a few points that were told by my friend. So I think that again worked not so good for her.
Correct. Okay.
That she could have done, but she missed.
But the group nominated her, right? That must have been the situation.
I think if you yourself ask that, can I start? So then
no one will say no.
No.
Because it's bad on their part. Then
of course,
if
because
you say,
can't be like, you can't discourage people from saying that, no, I want to do that, right?
Correct.
So if you want to speak, you of course can nominate yourself, and if you've gained the trust amongst your course mates, you can speak. But then make sure to include others' points as well.
Cover all the things, so then, because you're summarizing, so it would be like basically not to miss out points and all that stuff. Correct. So for GP, I would say not practice, but a lot of common sense is kind of required, and to see.
You need to be alert.
You need to be alert. What is hidden somewhere? Because as she said, the dhaba parking is there. Now, a lot of people will not be able to think, okay, there's a dhaba and there might be a parking like that, and there is a dam over there, and there is an army camp over there, which they can help to defuse the bomb and not to defuse it yourself. So these are the points. I mean, general thing, you have to think that, okay, it's happening in my real life. What would I do? That kind of thing, right? In my real life, if I have come to know, okay, there is a, for example, there are a lot of things, right? In real life also, you can take the example in metro or somewhere, in the railway stations, they tell you, right? Okay, if you find any unidentified object, you inform us. They don't tell you that open it and see it, what is in there. They don't tell you, right?
Yeah.
So that's what you have to focus. You have to see in your real life that, okay, that's not the instruction given to you in your real life. You have to make sure that you are saving yourself and your team members' life.
Yeah,
Also.
exactly. You don't need to show that you're the
Show that
bravest person
it's
and
not
that you
bravest.
go
I
and
think
lift
that's,
huge.
yeah, it's not
That's
bravery also. So
stupid, but
correct. So
but
that's
so
a general common sense. That's what I mean. The thing. Okay, so GP is done. Now let's come to the, I think the other part we don't have to discuss more is the group discussion which happens in the GTU, because a lot of GK preparation which you do, current affairs preparation which you do, I think that helps in that group
it
discussion.
does. Yes.
And I think these are very normal points that we have already discussed in the PPT, that how to have a discussion, listen to others' points, sit upright, and all that stuff. Don't shout and all that. That is a normal general points. So that group discussion is good. GP is done. Now let's come to the ground tasks. All that fatta, balli, and rope. So how was it for you? Like, first thing is, how did you prepare for that? Like, your cousins told you that okay, these kinds of things would be there, and this is what you can do, or kind of you saw some videos like that?
I did see a few videos, but until and unless you are there given those items, I don't think you
It's not
can
like that,
sort
correct?
of get an
It's like
experience.
learning the swimming by watching the YouTube videos. No,
Yeah,
you
you
have to
can't
jump
do
into
that.
the water. Correct,
Yes.
correct,
So I didn't have any practice as
correct.
such for that. But
Okay.
of course, if you are going for coaching, then I think you might have practice for that.
Hmm.
I didn't.
Hmm.
So I think there are five obstacles that as a team you need to do. They're
Hmm.
very small
Hmm.
obstacles
Hmm.
that you need to cross.
Hmm.
Mostly from my group and what I heard from other groups, people are not able to do it because it's the first time that everybody's doing it, right?
Correct.
Again, so I think the assessor helped us a lot in giving
Okay.
us hint as to how it can be done. You just again, most of before each activity that you do, the assessor will give you instructions,
Correct.
and you need to be super alert to understand what instructions are being given, because you can't then ask him stupid doubts. Sir, can I do
Correct.
this? Can I do that? Or do it, and then he'll tell you that I told you not to do this.
Correct.
So you
Correct.
need to be super alert when the instructions are being given. They're very clear in themselves. You shouldn't have any questions.
Hmm.
Um, so that happened. It was okay. We didn't complete all of the five obstacles as a team.
Hmm.
Uh, we were trying our best to do whatever we thought was happening.
Hmm.
Again, then also I think I was sort of helping others also cross, or if there was somebody who was being dominated, I was sort of helping her say her point or something like that. But that was it. It wasn't very eventful.
Okay. So for
You just
example,
need to be,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
I think even if I think because my group was dominating, what I had in mind was, even if I can't dominate the group, what I can do is I can show that I'm trying 100% of the time.
Hmm.
Even if I don't get to do whatever is being done, I
Hmm.
am at least trying and not giving up. Because one of my friends in the GD that happened,
Hmm.
the two GDs that you have,
Hmm.
she sat like that, and then she just didn't speak because so many people were dominating that she just gave up in front of the
Okay.
assessor in this group discussion, which I thought was um,
Negative.
very negative. You
Correct.
can't be doing that. So
Correct.
even if you can't control your group, but make sure that you are trying 100% of the time
Correct.
in contributing to the discussion or the task in any way that you can.
Correct. And this is also one of the questions which candidates ask is, a lot of dominating people are there in my group. What to do? So it's just that you don't have to fight with them. You are not there to fight with them. But what you have to do is you have to show that this in that particular task you are giving your 100%. That's what is
Yes.
needed to be done. It's not like they are dominating means you have to, if they are 20, you have to show you're 21. It's not like that. So
Exactly.
it's fine if they're dominating means they are showing their nature. That's fine. You show your nature that you are focused on your task, and let's move forward with the task. That's what I think should be done
Yeah.
at the
And if
PGT.
you're assertive, you can show that you're assertive as well.
Correct.
I am not a very assertive person, so that was my experience. But if
Correct.
you think you are assertive, you can show that you're assertive and sort of dominate the group. You just have to be a little cautious to make sure that you include others as well.
Correct, but there is a fine line between dominating and being assertive, kind of thing. Like for example, if you are shouting and telling everyone what to do, but then you don't know what to do, but then still you're not giving chance to other people, then it goes negative in your
Then it goes negative, and
perspective.
even the SSS sees that you're
Sees
speaking
that.
only because you want to speak,
You
but you
want to
have
speak.
nothing to speak.
You have nothing to speak.
That
Correct.
doesn't count. That
Correct.
doesn't count.
Correct. Okay. Now, so these are like kind of team task, PGT and HGT. So full group is there, then half group is there, and then one more time FGT is there, which is full group is there. That's fine. So group task we have talked about, and SSS gave you a lot of hints, and you try to give ideas and helping others, like that thing. Now let's come to the command task, where you are the only commander, and then he gives you a particular task. So first thing is, like, how many times were you called? Like some friend of yours called you and to help her out?
I think 4,
4.
5.
Okay, 4 to 5 times. So as she said that 10 girls were there, and out of 4 to 5 girls called you. That is first thing. Second thing is, at what number you were called? You remember?
I think it was in the middle
of something.
I
like
don't
that.
know.
Okay. So how did that command task went, in the sense, like, were you able to complete the whole, because there is no one to help out with that basically. So how did it went?
Yes, so I think in my command task, what happened was I was given 3 things to do. So
Okay.
like there was this one task that I did, and then he asked me that let's assume that this is yellow, that you can't touch it. Now,
Okay.
how would you do it?
Correct.
So I had some modifications. The first task I was able to do it. The
Okay.
second task, when he modified something, I think I got lost for a minute. So I asked him if I could ask my subordinates if they have an idea as well.
Okay.
So then he said, you are commanding, you can do whatever you want to do.
Correct.
So then I asked one of my friends. So then she had an idea. So that sort of, once she said something, I think then it sort of happened. And then I had the third modification that I did on my own.
Okay.
So I was able to do the 3 of them. But I did get lost in between. And since I couldn't think, I asked him if I could ask.
Okay. So by modification, she means, like, for example, we have a task over there and it's all white. That means you can talk, you can walk over there and you can put the things on balla and all that stuff. But by modification, she means that SSR tells, he increases the difficulty basically. So he tells, okay, now this is not white, this is red. You cannot step on it, and you cannot put your balla or all that stuff for down or there. So that's what she meant by modification. So, but and one more thing she cleared is, it's very clear, if you're stuck, means you can ask your subordinates, because the aim of the task is not to show that you are the only commander. The aim of the task is to show that you are the commander and you have to complete the task also. So
with your team.
That's yeah, with your team. So that's about the command task. So I think an individual obstacles, how many did you complete? Was it
I
good
did
for
7.
you? 7. So there must be 10 kind of thing, right?
There are 10, yes.
So did it happen that, okay, you went on an obstacle and then you were not able to complete it and you left it and then went ahead, like that, something like that?
That did happen once. So there was a 2 marker obstacle that what you had to do is you had to you had to run on an incline, and then there was a stick and at some height, and you had to jump over it.
Okay.
So I think the first time when I tried to do it, I touched the stick and then the stick dropped.
Okay.
So I tried, but it was easy, and it was a 2 marker obstacle, and I knew that I could do it. I just didn't do it the first time.
Okay.
So then I went again and then I did it. The 3 obstacles that were left, I did have time left, but I think I did in a serial order, whatever was. I mean, I started with the Tarzan swing.
Okay.
Because I knew that if I don't try it the first time, I might not have the courage to do it later on.
Okay.
Because now I'll be super confident with my first obstacle, so I should try that. The first obstacle. So that is how I did it. And I did try Tarzan swing before SSB also in some park or some area.
Okay.
And at that point I couldn't do it because I didn't do it. But in my SSB, because how the day went, so what happened was in my GD I didn't do that good. So I was pretty sure that no matter what happens, Tarzan swing to mujhe karna hai. Ab chahe
अच्छा,
kuch bhi ho jaye.
ठीक है.
So I went with full determination, and then that sort of happened. And once that happened, I was pretty sure that I could do, most of the obstacles that were in front of me.
Okay.
So that sort of increased my confidence. So I think just 1 second.
No problem.
So then I went through all of my obstacles. I think I left. There was one that you had to jump up a rope
Okay.
at some height. I tried that, but then the time khatam ho gaya tha. So that was a 10 marker.
Check. So
I
when okay, so when they're explaining that obstacle one by one, right? GTO runs with you and they explain the obstacle. So did you, in your mind, did you tell it, okay, I'll start with this one and I'll go with this one and all that stuff?
Yes, I was pretty sure, because once I had tried the Tarzan swing and I couldn't do it, so I was pretty sure that I have to start with this and then I'll go accordingly. I'll run accordingly. So that was my goal.
Okay, so 7 out of 10 is a good thing. I mean, if you're able to do it in 3 minutes, that's a good score.
It was a good, yes.
Correct. Okay, so GTO was over and all that stuff was over. So now, I mean, so what day did you had your GTO? Like, did you had a day left out after your GTO and then the conference, or like that?
Yes. I had screen in, and then first day I had my interview and the psychology. Second day I had my GTO. Third day was free, and then
free. 4th day was conference. Okay. So on the free day, like, did you do anything, like went out with friends or something like that? I think it was Corona time, right? So we're not allowed.
Yeah, so we were not allowed to go out, but we could play inside, right? So I think we tried reading newspaper that day. We played some games, and then you can't sleep in the afternoon. That is sort of a thing there. So we were in the common room. Some of my friends then played volleyball, some played cricket. You also had, I think, 2 hours to talk. 2 hours mein you can talk 3 minutes with your family. So there was a long line. So we were standing in the line for that. That happened.
Correct.
So we were just playing games. That's it.
Okay. So that day went fine, and then came the conference day. So
yes.
Like, how was your conference? Like, it was pretty quick, or like?
It was pretty quick. Yes, I think the only question I was asked was, why do you want to join the defense force?
Okay.
And then he asked me. So then I said that I like doing adventurous things, and that is something that I want in my life. Correct. So then he asked me, Acha, so then tell me, what did you do in the past 1 year?
Okay.
What adventurous thing you did in the past 1 year? Okay. And tab to we also had COVID going on. Correct. In the past 1 year, right?
Correct.
But then I still had gone for 2-3 treks. So then I mentioned that. So you can't think about instances that you want to give. You should already have it revised in your head, right? So I already had that revised. So then I said I did this. This shows that I was still being adventurous, yes, coach. And then that was it. It was a very quick conference.
Okay. So like, before going to like conference room, how much time did you wait? Because at that time they are deciding, and GTO is giving their feedback about you and interviews. So how much time did it
take? I think it was quick.
Quick, right?
It wasn't that.
So mostly if it is quick, means like everyone has said yes, and it's like that. Generally it happens like that. If
I don't know, but that's what they say. Yes.
Yes, it takes time. Generally it takes time when 1 or 2 has said yes and the other one is said no, and then they discuss, okay, if it can be recommended, or how much marks he's lacking and all that stuff. I think that's what. But I think in your part it was all yes. So it's good. So after you had your conference and then you came out, and so how many girls were recommended from your batch?
We were 16.
16 got recommended. And out of like, how many got screened in? Approximately
91, 95.
Okay, 95.
This was a very large batch. We had around 300 reporting. So this was a very large batch. Yes.
Correct. So out of 300 approximately reported, and out of that 100, I would say 95 got screened in. And then out of which 16 got recommended. 16 is a good number, yeah. 16 generally
It's
doesn't.
a very good
It's a
number.
very good
Huh.
number. 16. Okay. So then you
Yes.
went for your medicals just after that, or like that?
Yes. We went, so that happened in March, and my medicals were a month later in April. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So you went to Delhi. If
Delhi.
Delhi. Okay. RR or oh, sorry, not RR. RR. It's done in RR. RR hospital or like where it is done in Delhi.
Subroto Park.
Subroto Park, right? Okay. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. It's done at two places, right? It's one in Bangalore and one it's in Delhi, like that.
But I think because of the COVID, it was being done only in Delhi.
Only in Delhi. Okay. 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 So okay. So how was your medical experience? I mean, just in one line, anything specific uh, a candidate should be thinking of, anything about the medicals?
Medical, I think no,
General
nothing.
things, right? I mean, it's for flying, I would say it's little,
Flying device, they're
it's very
strict.
strict, but as in
Yes.
general, it's general. They will see. I mean, brain they have
Hmm.
tested in the SSB. They just want to test your body that
Yeah.
will you be able to
There's nothing to be
take it
scared
up.
about.
Correct, correct,
Yeah.
correct. Okay. So overall, your SSB experience was, I would say, I mean, if you get recommended, then it's always good. It's always good.
Yeah.
It's always good. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Shivani. So we will end the video over here, but just want to ask you like 4 to 5 things which you
Hmm.
should, a candidate should be following for SSB in general, like not process specific, but 4 to 5
Hmm.
advices which you would like to give to a candidate who is going for the SSB for the first time, as you meant.
Mhm. I would say be as natural and be you, at least in your first attempt.
Correct.
Because that's what I wanted. I didn't want to go for a coaching sort of a thing because I wanted to see my own personality how it goes. So that was one. Um, to try to have a good time at SSB. I mean, of course, I know it's do or die, and
Mm.
your career gets to be decided. But also try to have fun with your friends, yeah, whoever. Try to have a good time there as well.
Mm.
Third, I think that's it. I don't have any advice as such.
Okay.
Just be yourself, I would say.
That's I think that's the most important part. I mean, not to fabricate yourself and show that okay, you are someone else. That's the main thing. I think candidates should remember that. Okay. But one more thing is that also use your brain by being yourself. It's
Be
not like
alert at all times.
be alert, and by being yourself, it should not be like okay, so you are telling that okay, I wake up at 11 o'clock in
No.
the morning. So that's I mean, by being yourself, candidates think I have to tell whatever I am doing like 100% truth. It's not that way that you have to tell I wake up at 11 o'clock in the day. Why you have to tell that? I mean, that's what common sense comes into the picture, right? So
Mhm.
generally don't.
Also, I tried before my SSP to change my schedule because they also
Good.
ask you what is
Correct.
your schedule like, right? So I can't be like I get up at 11. So
Huh.
what I actually did in my real life was for 5 months before I used to get up at 5:30 every day, and I
Okay.
sort of made a schedule that I would say in my interview, and then I would have instances to prove that this is something that I really did.
Correct.
So I sort of did live the routine that I said in my interview.
Correct. So basically it's the same thing. Whatever she does, that's what she told. Correct. So she started waking up 5:30, then she's telling 5:30. Correct. So that's what I mean. That's the only I would say crux of our discussion is that it's small thing is what makes a big difference, and
True.
alertness is one of them. You have to be alert. You have to know that where it's a team game and where it's a individual thing. Don't underestimate the assessors. They know everything, and you can't tell them that I run and you don't run like that. And I think that's it. A lot of points we discussed. Correct.
Yes. Also, I think once you go through the OLQs, find opportunities, or I mean, know which opportunities you have to show that you're brave. You have to show that uh, you are an assertive person. So like for me,
Correct.
for every OLQ, I sort of, because I can't show that I'm brave, I can show that only in my individual obstacle and the
Hmm.
stories that I write, right?
Hmm.
So I was very sure that in the stories that I write, if there are things that I can't show through my behavior, I show
Hmm.
them through my stories.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
have to find and know those opportunities wherein you will be showing your OLQs.
Correct. 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 Okay, Shivani. So it was very nice interacting with you, and
Same here.
yeah, it was not a. I would say we discussed in very much detail that
Yeah.
how a candidate should go ahead, and that's what I wanted actually, because if you could just go that how was your experience and we finish it off, that doesn't make any sense. If you are having a discussion, means it's very small things which candidates ask, that how should I prepare that, and they should know from someone who has already got recommended that okay, this is what she did and this is what brings the result.
Yeah.
So correct. So thank you so much, and thanks for your time. I think we have spent already 1 hour 20 minutes, something like that.
Oh,
Something like
all
that.
right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shivani.
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.